There's a real link between the pioneers of motorsport and aviation. The young men who diced with death in the aircraft of the early part of the last century possessed exactly the same thirst for speed and danger as did the first racing drivers. And the emerging technologies for both activities deployed very similar craft skills, high-performance engines, wood and metalworking, for example, and those links have lasted right to the present day. And no place on earth represents the birth of automotive and aviation technology better than does Brooklands. The construction of the Brooklands motorcourse in 1907 was a wonder of its age. Much of the track and many of its original buildings and features have survived to this day, some as listed or even as part of an ancient monument. Constructed at Weybridge in Surrey by wealthy landowner Hugh Locke King in 1907 as the world's first purpose-built banked motor racing circuit, Brooklands very soon became much more than that, and throughout the following 80 years it was to remain a world-renowned centre of technological and engineering excellence. The heyday of the racing circuit was undoubtedly the 1920s and 30s, when record times were being set and broken by wonderful drivers such as Malcolm Campbell, John Cobb and others, in magnificent machines, Napiers, Delages, Mercedes, Bentleys and Bugattis, which were themselves lovingly tended by the finest mechanics in the country. The social scene was strong, and Brooklands was then a very fashionable place to be seen. It was known as an ascot of motorsport, and the slogan "The right crowd and no crowding" applied to the exclusive Brooklands Automobile Racing Club. Special ladies' races were held, and while Barbara Cartland may have led the social scene, it was drivers like Kay Peter and Gwenda Hawkes who were competing fiercely for the title of the fastest lady, the former, for instance, driving John Cobb's fearsome 1924 10.7 litre Delage. Motorcycles and push bikes too had their devotees, and many records were established on the track, including the outright motorcycle lap record achieved by Noel Pope at 124.51 mile an hour, riding a big 1000cc Brough Superior in 1939. It was at Brooklands too that A.V. Rowe started his pioneering powered flight trials with his first full-size aeroplane in 1908. It was here that Tommy Sopwith developed and flew the Sopwith Pup and Camel, and here too that the Hawker Hurricane and Vickers Wellington were built before and during World War II. The post-war years were distinguished by the achievements of Vickers, who took over the whole site in 1946 and later became first the British Aircraft Corporation and finally British Aerospace. Their factory produced a successful family of civil and military aircraft, including the Viscount and VC-10 airliners, the Valiant V-bomber, and of course contributed so much to the design and manufacture of Concorde. Although the outbreak of war in 1939 had seen the end of motor racing on the legendary circuit, Brooklands maintained its position as the home of pioneering aviation development until British Aerospace ended aircraft production here in 1987. Brooklands Museum Trust was formed in that same year, opened the museum here in 1991, and it continues to preserve the spirit and traditions of this unique and wonderful site through to the present day. So there's a very brief introduction to Brooklands, a site of enormous heritage significance, and one which I hope I've convinced you deserves a far more in-depth journey of discovery. I hope I've whetted your appetite, and I really look forward to welcoming you here very soon in the future.